everyone. I am Nu-Trix, the synth guy, and today we're looking at a new synthesizer software for the iPad and Mac from Baby Audio. It's called the BA-1, and I really dig the sound of this thing. It's a cool little synth that has attitude, has a great sound. It's easy to use, but it's still some things in it that you need to understand that it works. If not, I think you will miss out on some cool features. So there's kind of these hidden gems in it. I'll go through that, make it clear. I just like the sound of this thing. I wish that on the iPhone, I would have a way to scale the image, because you have the same exactly information that you have here on an iPhone. So it becomes really small, and my eyes are not so good. On a small screen, I cannot see it. On top of that, if I put my glasses, my finger is a bit big for the small control. So I would kind of find a way to maybe move and have bigger space, or have the keyboard disappear. You know, there's something to do there to maximize the screen space for the iPhone separately than what you do on the iPad. Now, it's connected now with my Arturia KeyStep 37. So what do we have? If we go in and we initialize the sound, so it's one way to initialize the sound, because I always like to initialize sound when I start to build the sound from scratch, because you're sure that you have no action whatsoever in the sound. So you just double tap on every button, it will go to the neutral state. Double tap, double tap, double tap, double tap, double tap, double tap. It will, and they have made the right decision about the neutral state. Honestly, I teach synthesis for 25 years, and they did the right thing. And sometimes when you look at how a company did initialize sounds, you go, no, you don't get it. Initialized sound for them is like a piano sound. It's not it. So now we have initialized sound. So let's go back and look into, okay, oscillators section, you've got oscillator 1 and 2. So the first oscillator can have a choice of triangular waveform, which is the least rich in harmonics, sawtooth, the richest in harmonics, and listen to that sound. That's the sound of a raw, and even on high pitch, it just sounds good. Okay, you have what we need. Then you got the square, which is always a fixed square. I have the pulse, which is it's a square, but change the width of it, but it's fixed. And then the pulse width modulation. And then in this one, you have the speed. So the depth or the amount of modulation for the pulse width is already decided on. So you don't have any control over that, but you have a control over the speed of it. Again. Raw sound just sounds really nice. So this is great. You just start with a real cool raw sound. So you have here crossfade between these two. You have, again, same shape, but the last one is a white noise. So if you listen to just this one, a white noise generator. So you could create a snare if you want to. Okay. For the second one, you have control over, so you can detune this. 0. It's in fine tune or semitone, an octave up, down, up and down. And you can also control the pitch here. But But if you want it to be monophonic, there's the 3 little dots here. You click on it, and it becomes monophonic right away. There's the FM synthesis feature, which is a kind of a weird thing in a way, because I expected this to kind of crossfade or do FM synthesis between oscillator 1 and 2, which is not the case. The FM here is the control over the volume of an other oscillator, let's say a third one, which is a sine wave that is FM linked to the oscillator 1. So this one is being controlled by the interaction with oscillator 1. So if I listen just to the first one, I hear this. Yeah, listen to the second one. So I hear oscillator 2, and I hear this. Let's say now I hear the white noise, plus I hear the FM. So by changing the pitch of oscillator 1, you're changing the way the FM sound is. If I'm bringing at the bottom, again, this is a volume knob for a higher pitch, 1 octave higher FM oscillator here. It's a sine wave, and 1 octave lower. And if I bring back another synth, the two together. Or you bring back the volume of the original plus the FM. So it's a kind of different way to do it, but again, it adds more texture to the sound. I wish that at one point I had no volume of these two, so I can just hear the FM if needed, but that's not the case. But that's not bad. It's just my wish. Then there's the filter, which is very nice, round. It's a 24 dB per octave slope. Go. Now it's in key modulation mode. Key mod means it's going to be doing key follow, keyboard follow. So as you go up the keys, the value of the cutoff point will go up. So it basically will open up the filter as you go up, and when you go down, it's going to close up. So lower notes will be darker in frequencies, and higher notes will be brighter, which is kind of what you see in a lot of acoustical instruments. And it sounds really nice. If you go to the maximum, it gets into self-oscillation. You go, okay, what's going up and down? What's that noise going up and down? I think we have an LFO somewhere here. Because what we hear here is the filter. So because the filter now is self-oscillating, it becomes a sine wave. So if I want to have a sine wave, I can. And if I want to tune it, I can just basically decide where the cutoff point is. And that's going to be tuning my oscillator for the sine wave. And because it's in key follow, it goes up the keys. If not, same note everywhere, because it's the filter that I'm playing here. Let's put that down. Okay, envelope, ADSR, there's one envelope, and it control the filter and the amp. To control the filter, basically bring up the filter here, envelope, and give it the shape you want. It's just sounds good. That's what is always cool about this original raw sound of these, and the filter, it just sounds round and nice. Now, something interesting you've got here, sync on is basically for the attack. You see that the attack now is in musical value, so it will follow the tempo, which is interesting. This is something we see often. So again, a little tweak that is different than what we used to see. Second line, you've got the LFO. It's one LFO and it's a sine wave, and you have the amount and destination. So if I'm sending it to the filter that we just heard earlier, that's the speed and that's the amount. And the sync is sync, or clicking here, you sync off and it becomes just a speed of the LFO, or you sync it on so it follows the speed of the sequence. Now there's something really interesting here. If you combine this with what we talked earlier about the FM synthesis, let's go back to opening up the filter now. I'm going to turn off sync and amount for the LFO. Go back to oscillator 1, because if I bring that up and I listen to oscillator 1, I've got that lo-fi type of unstable type of sound. Okay. Then you've got Sidechain. Sidechain here is to create that compression sidechain that you would see. By default, you could use it like a tremolo if you want. It just opens up and closes. If there's nothing else connected to it, it's just going to open up and close on the tempo of 4/4 beat. So basically a tremolo if you want. A slow one, but a tremolo. But if you connect that in a sequence and you send audio to it, the audio coming in will trigger the sidechain or not. So if you have a drum playing at the same time as the bass, it will turn down the volume of the BA-1 as the kick drum plays, so they don't fight for the presence, which is a very cool effect you can create. Also a very good way to give the space to all the sound when you mix. So Sidechain was originally made for that, and then it was used for any type of weird effects if you want to. So you have a pre or post. The pre is basically you're doing this sidechaining effect, or compression, or the tremolo if you want, before getting into the effects or after the effects. So the two options are there depending on what you want to do. Then you have tones, basically dark and bright, basically a treble and bass control. You have a drive, and they basically took the time to recreate the type of tools that people would have in those days. So the drive is mimicking an old system. I'm going to bring that down. Okay, So this is really cool. If you use a lot of filter, the drive can really give it a presence. You bring the drive up and then you get that. It's like, you got two version circuit. It's a bit more nasty. So really cool for the drive here is really a nice one. The delay, you have the amount and the length. So, and again, the delay can be, the length can be controlled by time. You got the information time value here. Okay. Bring that down to 0. And the last one is reverb. Again, these recreates, again, delay, reverb, and distortion of the era that this was released. So it does the job. It's really cool. And then we got a chorus. We turn this off. That's a cool sounding one. Now there's these extra stuff, again, that did not exist in the original one. There's the battery control, which is totally at the end of the sound. Because the unit in the past, that was one of the first mobile portable synthesizer that run with battery. So you can actually go in and say, you can tweak the value, the amount of energy in the battery. Because in the original one, when the battery was about to die, it would create these artifacts. You see, you would hear distortion, background noise, and it would start to behave weirdly. Kind of detuning stuff. And so, again, this is a cool way to mimic all the errors or the problem that would create these glitches that people still love and like. So really fun that they added this. It's not something we see often. The other thing that is really cool is the speaker. When you take the speaker off, you're basically taking the sound out of the unit, like you would actually patch the cable and into a recorder. Where you put speaker on, you actually get the sound. They created an emulation of the speaker of the SH-101 and the simulator of a dynamic mic that most people had at the studio. I'm guessing a Shure SM something. And they would record it off this to get another sound. So you have the speaker sound or the straight from the cable sound. Also, one of the really cool feature is Regen. You click on Regen, it will create another sound right away that is musically usable. I'm saying that because sometimes you press like randomizer on some synthesizer, it's just creating weird stuff. In this case, Regen creates usable sound right away. And you can say, okay, let's dive in and try to push it further. My wish list for this would be to have, when you assign the LFO to the oscillator 1 for creating vibrato, I would like to have that result affecting also the FM. That's what I expect to have, because that's kind of my logic. I would like to have an internal manual, either a PDF, a little explanation, or having a little, when you hover over a value, it will pop up and say, this is for this. This is how the FM works. So we get a little bit more under the hood kind of information, so that when we think about how we're going to connect everything, you just go, oh, okay, I could actually do this because I know that that feature over there can do that, which is right now is just discovering, which is fine, but I wish, I'm a manual guy. I read the manual, RTFM. That's what I do. I get a device, I look at it, I read the information, and I find little go, oh, you can do this. And it's not obvious on top, but it's obvious for them, the people who built it, to say this is how it works. So I wish I had that. The interface does not scale, I would say, in an optimized manner for all the different devices I have. I have an iPhone 13. The screen is so small, difficult to use. The fact that it's on iPhone it's really cool, because I can work on a song on the iPad, continue working on the song on the iPhone, still have the sounds, but I'm not going to go sound design on the iPhone because the knobs are so tiny. I'm going to have difficulty to play it. Outside of that, it's a great little synth. It just sounds really, really cool. I'm going to load a song it has that cool synthwave sound if you want. It has that raw presence that is so nice about it. And I like raw sounds. I like in-your-face synthesizers. I like aggressive sound. If you give me other type of synthesizer, I understand the value. I understand why people like them, but I'm not going to be a client for them. But I like this because it sounds in your face. That's what I like about it. So I've got this little song here I've been working for a long time, and now I'm just switching the sounds to see how this sounds. And one thing that the BA-1 does not have is an arpeggiator. So what I have here I turn off, this is the arpeggiator of Zen Beats. It's a media, it just goes between the MIDI track and the synth. If I turned it off, this is all BA-1 outside of the drum. Just nice presence to the sound. All BA-1s. That's it. It's just really quick to create sounds and has these great sounds. Baby Audio, great job. Really great job on a cool twist on an... That's not a recreation. Like Baby Audio says in their ads about this synth, it's not a recreation. It's an evolution on the original. And it's really cool. That's it. Stay safe, make more music, and see you soon. Cheers.